It's game week 5 prediction time, and I'm excited because I get to share this moment with my co-host Mark Ryman. How are you getting on, Mark?
I'm good. What a moment it is as well. We'll talk about the previous round, but I've actually had some success, so pretty happy with the last roll.
Yeah, you did well. So I did all right. I got 2 exact scores. I got 5 correct outcomes, but you absolutely knocked it out the park.
Yeah, what do they say about a broken clock? Something like that, anyway. But yeah, 8 correct scores, 3 direct hits as well. So yeah, pretty good. But I've got some catching up to do from the last 3 rounds anyway, so it was needed.
Yeah, like it was needed. It was. But shall we? We'll crack on with our game week 5 predictions. But before we do that, if you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video, subscribe to our channel for even more championship content. You won't be disappointed. We also have a weekly roundup show where we talk about all the games from the game week, and it's a lot of fun. So moving on to the first game of the game week, Hull City versus Sheffield United.
Yeah, they've been pretty disappointing, Hull, haven't they? Got beat pretty resoundingly in the last game as well. They're not scoring many goals either, and I think most people predicted that they might be a bit of a basket case, but they'll at least score goals. And they're not really been clicking. Sheffield United, despite their 2-1 win against Watford, I'm still yet to be convinced. Maybe I'm just being harsh at this point. Having said that, I think Sheffield United will win it. I've got 2-1 Sheffield United for this one. I can't see Hull picking up a point.
Interesting. Okay, so I also have Sheffield United down for a win. I have a 3-1 Sheffield United win. I agree with you that Hull sort of haven't looked convincing yet. They haven't won a game. But I have been very impressed with their transfer business. That they picked up some players that, wouldn't be they wouldn't be out of line at any other championship club, and I'm impressed with that. Sheffield United, yes, we know a lot about what Sheffield United have done in the transfer market. But I do agree they haven't been convincing, but they're yet to lose this season. I think the gravy train will just keep rolling, won't it? It will.
It looks like it, especially when they've got games like this. We'll see when they start facing some of the bigger sides, but at the moment, I agree.
Yeah, and I guess they're all waiting for news about their takeover as well, but I guess that's the subject for another day, isn't it?
Another week, another month, whatever day it might be, but it's not anytime soon, that's for sure.
Right, and then next up we have Leeds United versus Burnley.
Yeah, I think, Burnley, at the moment, it's so hard to predict how they'll do. They've still got a good side, but players leaving left, right and centre, issue with one of their coaches in the WhatsApp group who walked out and left as well. There were rumours that Parker's unhappy, although they've just now nailed down Koleosho to a 5-year deal as well. So I'm sure that cost them a fair bit of money considering the interest that was in, but they've done very well to keep him despite losing a lot of others. Leeds United have got going though, and Ellen Road, I'm going to say they're going to win this, but it will be close. I've gone Leeds 2, Burnley 1.
Oh, so I have gone for Leeds 2, Burnley 2. I think it's going to be a Scott Parker masterclass. I think after, sort of how transfer deadline day went and all the players that have left, I think now that pretty much all the players are sort of stuck there until January, I think it's time to, get their heads down, start pulling in the right direction. I feel this could be a right ding-dong of a game as well. Leeds have been on form though, drawing their first 2 games, but they've looked really convincing for the last 2 games. But I feel Burnley could pull off a draw here, come away from Ellen Road with a point. Yeah, it's looking all right.
Yeah, Scott Parker plays a nice wily counter-attack as well, so that could suit him. But yeah, Leeds are a bit of a juggernaut once they get going.
Yeah. They could always drop the ball. Who knows? And then next up, we have Millwall versus Luton Town.
Yeah, I'm retiring from predicting any of our results, if that's all right. Thank you very much. Let's hope that what you've just said about Burnley is true of Luton as well, that the international break means that the players that are now there know they're there until at least January, and that will settle the squad down. And there's some players that come back, but I do think an away trip to the Den is possibly one of the worst starts, if you like, or mini starts to the season for us. We've always struggled there. I think we won once in recent history, but I can't see us winning. So I'm going to go 1-1 for this one.
Yeah, so my prediction is 1-0 Luton, an away win, purely based on the fact that I feel Luton Town just have to win at some point. Yeah. This is very much heart over head. I don't know if Luton have what it takes to go to the new Den, because as you say, it's a bogey place for Luton Town. Luton really struggle to go to Millwall. Most people struggle to go to Millwall. It's a really tough place to go. But hopefully the strikers start converting the chances, and I guess we will have to see, won't we? The tide has to turn. The strikers have to start scoring goals, and who knows what formation Luton Town will turn up with.
Yeah, yes, and let's hope that we see a bit more solidity in that midfield with Nakamba hopefully fit. But we've been saying bogey teams a lot, haven't we, since the start of the season? Burnley are a bogey team, although we played them at home. Portsmouth, Fratton Park, we never win there. I can't remember the last time. I think you mentioned it, one of the previous ones. Deepdale, Preston, QPR, we never beat them. So, we're getting through the league.
Get the bogey teams out the way. And then you have a nice clear run until Christmas, right?
Yeah, let's see. Hopefully that's the one.
Right. Then next up, Oxford United versus Stoke. Now, I have been so impressed with Oxford, especially Mark Harris. And Des Buckingham has done such a job. He's made them mean. He's made them gritty. He's made them horrible to play against. He's made them Luton Town under Nathan Jones, essentially.
Yeah. You can really see that as well, can't you? That theme in the way they play. Very similar to when we were first in the league.
Yeah. So I've gone Oxford 2, Stoke 0.
Snap. But for exactly the same reasons, I have to say Oxford proved me wrong in the last game. I actually predicted Preston to beat them, and they won convincingly. And as you say, they play as a team. I think you just like saying Des Buckingham's name,
I do.
Which is why we
really
focus
do.
on him. But I agree. I think Stoke away from home as well. Just they've been inconsistent, but away from home they've certainly been worse. I think Oxford take it 2-0 as well.
Right. The next up we have Blackburn Rovers versus Bristol City.
Yeah, I've been impressed with Bristol City. I said this before the last game when they played when they played Derby rather, and again, that didn't turn out exactly as I thought it would do. But I still think that they're a good team who can score goals. Blackburn have done really well, considering I predicted them, I think, to finish rock bottom in the league. I still think they'll be in a relegation battle to the end of the season, but we'll see. But I think that Bristol City, counter-attacking wise, will probably take this 3-1. But this could go either way. So I've gone 3-1 Bristol City.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think it'll be a tighter affair, though, because Blackburn aren't exactly the pushovers that we think they are. We saw that against Burnley. But I've gone 1-0 Bristol City, and I do think... I do agree with you about the fact that no one saw that result coming last week. Like Derby just shut us all up, didn't they? Like everyone making championship content has sent their apologies to Derby because no one had that pegged as a 3-0.
No, not in a million years. And I know it's probably me most was taking the mick out of Derby and said they were stinking out the league, when actually, if anyone's stinking out the league, it's Luton at the moment. So I really can't make comment until we pick up more than 1 point from 4 games. So yeah, fair play Derby. What a win that was for them.
Yeah, fair play. And on to Derby County versus Cardiff City. I've got this one pegged as a 0-0.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Despite everything I've just said, Derby, I've actually predicted Cardiff to win this. But I think it is sort of screaming low scoring, scrappy game to me. Definitely. Both teams before the last round of fixtures have found it hard to put the ball in the back of the net from open play. Derby did, obviously, in the previous game. And Cardiff, despite their sort of last minute heroics against Swansea, haven't really convinced going forwards at all. So I think it'll be very close. I've got Cardiff to just nick it at the end. But again, yeah, it's going to be a tight one, I think.
Yeah, it's time for Cardiff to step up. 1 goal was scored, 10 goals conceded. I know they have Ethan Horvath, and long-time listeners of the show will know my personal feelings on Ethan Horvath. But, Derby, they're doing all right. They grind them out. They're solid from set plays, and they do always have the possibility of pulling out another one of those results out the bag, if they get the counter-attacks right.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still waiting for my Willett masterclass to come into fruition that I predicted at the start of the season. So you better start pulling it out of the bag soon for Cardiff. It's not looking great.
Well, let's go on to Middlesbrough versus Preston North End then.
Yeah, I don't see Preston winning this game or getting anything from it, to be honest. I think Borough at home are too strong. We've talked about their attack at length already. And compared to Preston's inability to score goals, apart from against a very small handful of sides recently, I think that points towards a convincing Borough win. So 3-0 for me, Borough, for that one.
Yeah, so I haven't gone as high scoring as you. I've gone Middlesbrough 1, Preston 0. It's very funny that Preston's sole win has come against Luton Town. Middlesbrough, they obviously had that hiccup with loss, but at the same time, they know how to grind out wins under Michael Carrick. They're not smashing teams like Carrick's first season in the Championship. They're a bit more, touch more pragmatic, but when they attack, they attack with venom and they can be so fierce. But I've gone for a tight 1-0 Middlesbrough win. It'll be interesting. I've gone tight, but I just know that they're probably going to smash them for like 5 or 6 now.
It's impossible to predict, isn't it? 1 week a team will score 4 or 5, the next week it'll be a goalless draw. So who knows? Who knows? But see them winning.
So talking about impossible to predict, now we have Plymouth Argyle versus Sunderland.
Yeah, that would be classic Championship if Plymouth smashed Sunderland, wouldn't it? That would be absolutely classic and entertaining. I can't see past Sunderland winning. They're the unbeaten side of the league. I think they've done very well. I think as well, away from home and at home, they've looked really dynamic in attack and they've played quick football, which I see the undoing of Plymouth. But I have to give Plymouth some credit because I haven't given them much. I think they've kept quite a few of the last games tight. They lost by the odd goal against Stoke last week. Not last week, sorry, the week before. But apart from that, it's been pretty tight. I've got Sunderland to edge a 1-0 win away from home.
So I've gone the other way.
Yeah.
Sunderland fans absolutely hate me. Look, I retract everything I said about Sunderland being lucky against Burnley. Fair play, Sunderland. You're good value for being top of the league, but I'm just feeling an upset. Come back from international break, and I think Plymouth Argyle are going to sneak this one at home 1-0 against Sunderland.
Yeah, brave call, but as I said, it would be classic Championship if that happened.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Look, it's Wayne Rooney. He's on a high after scoring that free kick goal in whatever game that was at Old Trafford.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he was on a high after doing karaoke at Plymouth. Right, yeah. That's the first free kick they've scored in about 3 years, wasn't it? In Old Trafford, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. It was a good free kick as well. Fair play to Wayne Rooney. And I do think Plymouth, I think this is the time, Yeah, they'll keep it tight, and I reckon they'll nick something. I think Morgan Whittaker will come up with the goods. You can never discount Plymouth when they have Morgan Whittaker in the side.
Very true.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Right, and on to Sheffield Wednesday versus Queen's Park Rangers.
I'm finally predicting the Danny Roll masterclass as well. I'm finally doing it. I've not been convinced, to be honest, all season with Wednesday. I know they've got some good players. They made some pretty smart signings, and Danny Roll looked like a class manager at last season. I think they flattered to deceive a little bit this season. But at home, I think they could do it. QPR, obviously, off the back of a win against Luton. But what I would say is that before their equalising goal, they didn't look anywhere near in that game. They really didn't. I think most QPR fans, well, they probably wouldn't agree because it was against Luton, but they would look at that game and think that they did very well to get 3 points. Lots of other factors, but for that reason, I don't think that they would have necessarily got anything from the game if there hadn't been the mistakes for their first goal. Anyway, so I'm going to say Sheffield Wednesday 2, QPR 0.
So I've gone the other way. I think I've been backing a Danny Roll masterclass every single week so far. It hasn't come up. Sheffield Wednesday have flattered to deceive. Yes, they won their first week, but since then, nothing much really. QPR, they did kind of impress me. They were good in the first 10 minutes, and then that comeback against Luton was just, earth-shattering, to be honest. What was it, a collapse from Luton? Was it QPR just going, blitzkrieg football? Who knows? Look, that is in the past now. So I've gone QPR 1, Sheffield Wednesday 0, because I really rate their striker Frey. I really do. I think he's solid. I think he's absolutely perfect for English football. And to be honest, like the amount of chances they are capable of creating through Karamoko Dembele, anything's possible with QPR. I do think it's going to be a very tight game, but as we've said, it's impossible to predict. It really is.
Yeah, and I think QPR have come back in other games. It's not just the Luton game. They came back from 2-0 down in the previous week, I think, as well. So it's very possible.
It is. And on to Swansea versus Norwich.
Yeah, not been hugely impressed with either of these sides. And I guess that for slightly different reasons, I think Swansea still have a decent spine, but haven't really found a massive identity this season. Norwich, well, we know with the issues of players leaving, new manager, etc. But they did have a pretty good game last game week, beating Coventry. So I'm going to go for an away win, just Norwich 1-0. But it's going to be, I think it's going to be a tight one.
Yeah, I've also gone tight. So I've gone Swansea 1, Norwich 2. Both teams with a mixed bag so far this season, just one win apiece. I feel there's a lot more to come from Norwich, though. They have the team there, as you said. But, Swansea aren't without their own threats. But I just think this week, I think Norwich are going to go to, what is it even called these days? The Swansea.com Arena.
Oh, yeah, something like that. Yeah, now you're testing me. I'm not sure. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. I just call it the Liberty. But to be honest, it could be so much worse. It could be called the Tough Sheet or something like that.
The Tough Sheet's a good one. What's the Reading one called?
Oh, the Car Leasing Stadium. The Select Car Leasing Stadium.
I think WeBuyAnyCar.com Stadium.
Oh, it's just embarrassing, isn't it? But I think Norwich will come out of this one and they'll grab it. I feel they're sort of getting up to speed. Josh Sargent's off the mark as well. And I just feel there's something there. It's time for Norwich, really, because they have flattered to deceive so far. Yeah. And on to Watford versus Coventry.
Your trick worked last week, or the week before rather, didn't it? Lock of the week, everything else, you did it on the Sunday. It has to be said though that all Luton fans were so depressed after the Friday night that they weren't too consoled by the Watford loss. Coventry coming off a 1-0 home loss. They've started the season poorly by their standards. It has to be said. They've had moments. I thought they looked really good in moments against Oxford, but they haven't hit their straps at all. But if they're going to do it in any game, please, Coventry, do it in this one. Watford 1, Coventry 3.
Yeah, so I think Coventry are going to win. I've gone Watford 2, Coventry 3. It's time for Coventry to unleash the shackles. Show us what you're made of. Like, we've all been backing Coventry, like Coventry fans, non-Coventry fans. We think Mark Robins is an absolute genius. And it's time for the team to gel. It's time to create those chances. It's time to take those chances. Ellis Sims, Haji Wright, you have to take your chances. And I think they might still be a bit loose at the back. So that's why I've gone for 2 goals from Watford. But I just think Coventry will be quite devastating this week. So that's Watford 2, Coventry 3. And the final game, the game week, we have Portsmouth versus West Brom.
I've been really impressed with West Brom, as I've said previously. They're grinding out results. And I think while Portsmouth have got some really impressive results at the start of the season, I think we're now getting into the grind of the Championship. And this is where I think some of those teams that have started off quite well are going to start to struggle a little bit more. And I see Portsmouth as one of those, even at home. So Fratton Park, we know, is a great place, great atmosphere. I'm not sure that they're creating enough chances to win games. They've got some impressive draws, but I think I'm going to go with Carlos Corberán again, and I'm going to go for a 1-0 win for West Brom.
Yeah, you can't bet against Carlos Corberán. He knows the league. He knows how to get wins. It's a shame because I really like Pompey. I backed them to get another draw last week, I think, against Sunderland. Just unfortunately, Sunderland just sort of hit them with a welcome to the Championship. And as that second half took off, bam, Sunderland were just out of sight. And it looked like Portsmouth were out the game, like, before they'd even warmed up for the second half. It's just crazy. So fair play Sunderland, if anyone is watching at this point. So yeah, I've gone 2-0 West Brom, which I think might be a bit generous considering West Brom haven't exactly been the biggest scorers. Like, other than their first game, I don't think they've really notched that too many goals. But yeah, as I said, you can't bet against Carlos Corberán. He's going to go down as like a legendary Championship manager. Although, has he even got promoted from the Championship? No, he's come close.
He made the final, didn't he, with Huddersfield? Yeah, he never, and then he left the season after to join West Brom.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I feel if he can get promoted with West Brom this season, that is a hell of a job, considering like the issues they've had off the pitch. It's just tremendous stuff.
Well, to get Huddersfield playing the way they did with that squad, I know they lost some players over the summer, but you look at what happened to them after that season, it says everything about how good a manager he is.
Yeah, really. Absolutely.
Robbed
now
it's
time. Mark, it is time for the lock of the week. Who are you going for?
Yeah, I'm going to go for a straightforward Borough to beat Preston North End at home. I can't see them doing anything but win with their attack versus Preston. So Borough win.
Okay, fair play. I'm going for Oxford United against Stoke because I really like Oxford. It's tremendous seeing them as high as 9th. Most teams struggle like their first season up in the Championship. I love the cut of their jib. I think they're doing so well. It's remarkable.
Yeah,
and I love the name Des Buckingham.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're going to say it. I'm waiting for it. Yeah.
Right, so that's us done for this week. If you've enjoyed this Championship prediction video and you want to see more Championship content, like this video and subscribe to our channel for even more Championship content. A big thanks to our audio partners, Blackstar Amplification and Carry On, for the mics, the headphones, and just making sure that we sound absolutely great. Also, a big thank you to our pod sponsors, the Record Shop in Amersham. Wherever you are in the UK, just mention that you watch the OK Football Show and you will get a discount. Go in there and check out all their vinyl, the wall of guitars. You'll absolutely love it. You won't be disappointed. But that's us done for this week. Thank you all for tuning in, and international break is almost over. Let's roll on game week 5. Phew.